Hi everyone, welcome to EDUA 581 Week 3. I am so excited about the progress that you have made so far in this course. I know that the first couple weeks have been very intense. You had to do a lot to choose a topic, to really start the process and land on the format really for the capstone project. And you've risen to the occasion, and I'm very, very pleased with that. Thank you. We only have 2 people left who need to complete the NIH training. Your Blackboard posts for your lit review and your thinking maps were great. I could tell they were thoughtful, and people's responses to that were great. It's, I'm thrilled that you are making reference to the self-paced lessons and to the readings, and I'm just very, very pleased with your progress, and I appreciate you also communicating with me via email if you have questions, because that'll help you be clear about how you will need to continue. So thank you very much. I'm very, very, very happy with where you are. Your capstone projects are going to be great. So let's look at week 3. This is around noon on Sunday, so I haven't yet haven't seen your assignments that are due tonight that reflect chapters 1 and 3. So I will look at those hopefully sometime early tomorrow and get comments back to you about that. And then you'll have an assignment about that on the discussion board next week. So I'll talk about that in a second. First of all, you have your readings this week, chapters 3 and 4. The good news is that they're the same readings for week 4. So you only have 2 chapters to read for 2 weeks. You've got a little break there. And in another break, you have the discussion board. This is pretty much already done, because what you need to now post is what you have completed in the assignment that's due tonight, and that will come from that initial planning. And you'll post a reflection about the problem, purpose, research, questions, intervention for peer feedback. Discuss the group progress and the research direction you're taking, if there are any concerns about doability of your project, and then 2 peers will give feedback. So that's for Wednesday, so that should be pretty easy to do after. Why don't you wait until after I look at your assignment that's due tonight, and then post that by Thursday of this week. We do meet on Wednesday of this week, and we will check in and talk about the lit review. I'll provide a little bit more information on the lit reviews for you, but also answer your questions about that. We'll talk about informed consent and discuss the activity in your Hendricks book. We'll talk about validity questions in chapters 1 and 3, and anything else that you want to talk about. And also what I added was we're going to review some consent forms that you'll need to have in order to get IRB approval. So I'll show you a little bit about that too. Okay, so I'm going to tell you right now, this self-paced lesson on the lit review is excellent. There are 2 inset videos that I think are really good, and they're YouTube videos that I would absolutely recommend that you watch. The second one on paraphrasing is the best explanation of paraphrasing scholarly work that I've ever seen in my life. So please don't miss that, because it walks you through how to rewrite what somebody else has written. And it also talks about how you need to combine and analyze and synthesize the research and not just summarize one person's work. So it's very, very well done. Please look at that before you really work on your 6 pages, which are due on Sunday, January 25th. That's the next assignment. So each one of you then has 6, no matter if you're in a group of 2 or 3, you have 6 pages that will be due in your section of the lit review. So now you need to, now that you've brainstormed the areas, you need to divide it up and have people start looking at what areas they're going to be actually writing themselves. So this is individual work. This is not a group effort. So each one of you will take a certain section of the lit review and start writing it. Now down the line, and we can talk about this later, but down the line, what you have to be careful of is that you don't, since people are dividing up the sections, that you don't overlap in information, and that ultimately your writing style does become similar, so that it's not distracting that, one person writes one way and somebody else writes another way in your entire lit review. But we can talk about that later. For right now, really, what you need to think about is 6 pages and references, and we'll talk about that in just a few minutes, a little bit more in depth according to what is posted on Blackboard. So looking ahead in week 4, just because I always like to do that, of course you have a devotion that is not required, but it would be nice to check out on week 4. You might be something that you just need for right now, because I'm sure that you're pretty busy with all the work that you're doing. Now your discussion board next week, that's week 4, will be the submission of your chapter 2 for peer review. Now to that extent, remember I asked you to choose somebody outside of your group who will be that person who will review your specific lit review. I have 4 people that I know are hooked up now, so please make sure that you let me know who that person is going to be that will be reviewing your work and who is outside of your group. Okay, you can just email me that. So you need to just post that by Sunday, February 1st. And again, that will be after I review it on the 25th and 26th, so that you can then submit it for your peer review. But I'll give you some feedback before you have to actually submit that. Your self-paced lesson that week will be on how to track changes and comments in Microsoft Word. You might already know how to do that. But when somebody posts their 6 pages on discussion board, if you submit it in Microsoft Word, then you can save it to your computer and then track the changes and then repost it. And that, by the way, will be due on February 5th. So the peer review assignment is due 4 days later, by Thursday of that week. And that's week 5. So going on then to your assignment that is due, this one, the 25th. This is what's posted on Blackboard for you to follow. And that's due January 25th by midnight. It needs to be 6 pages per student and 10 references per student. Okay, and that's for Sunday, January 25th. But again, I think before you do that, it's really important that you look at the self-paced lesson. I think that will be very, very, very helpful. Okay, so then the literature, then that piece needs to be posted for your peers on Sunday, February 1st, which is all, remember, it's after I will look at it. So you'll have a chance to make some revisions if you want to. But I think that I don't know exactly what this means, 20 plus sources. Let's just stick with the 6 pages and 10 resource references for now. And you can add to that later. Here's some questions that were on Blackboard that you might want to ask yourself of how you're writing. Does the literature review relate to the focus of your topic? Is it a synthesis of the information, not just a summary of different works? Have professional sources clearly, are they relevant to the purpose of the study? Has a logical and well-organized presentation of the literature been provided, which is just a snippet, really, of the whole thing, obviously, because of the 6 pages. And then just remember that there'll be a minimum of 30 sources for your completed Chapter 2 when you finish that, hopefully by the end of 581. And but it's still a work in progress throughout 605 as well. Okay, the other questions that they had on Blackboard were asking you to just remember to use headings and subheadings to structure the content and flow of the research. That's a good idea, really, to brainstorm those headings with your colleagues, because if you now that you've brainstormed the areas, the next step is to kind of decide on your headings, so then you can divide them up for individual writing. And then were the ideas of major authors and theorists on the topic compared and contrasted? Also, did the literature review cover an appropriate depth of content on the topic? These things are all addressed in the self-paced lesson in this week. So again, I'm gonna encourage you to watch that. So that's all for now on this week. I will check in with you on Wednesday. If you have something that you want me to review Wednesday night, please let me know that, and I will add that to my presentation for you then. We'll get some questions answered, and I look forward to seeing you then. So have a happy Martin Luther King Day. Probably most of you, I'm sure, will be off work, and I'll see you Wednesday. Okay, bye-bye.